If you're a plant lover or you know somebody who's a plant lover, I'm going to show you how you can make this easy but beautiful wood planter. For the base of the planter, I want it to be a slight rectangle. So one side's going to be 7 inches and the other side's going to be 7.5 inches. I decided to use a 1/4 inch Ogie router bit with a cutting length of 3/8 of an inch to make my round over on my base of my planter. And using the scrap piece of wood that I had left over when I cut the base, I was able to adjust the height of the bit to the desired pattern that I wanted. And with the height of the router bit right now, you can see the pattern here that this Ogie bit will leave you. Gives you a nice little base right here with a nice inlay round over here in the middle. And here on top it leaves you a nice 1/8 of an inch lip to be able to play with. So when using this router bit on a table, whatever side that you want to have top of your board will be facing down. And with this soft pine, you can easily make just a couple passes and get the desired pattern that you want. Okay, now I want to cut the board to about 3/4 of an inch thick. The width of this board right now is about 3/4 of an inch. So I cut it over about 3/4 inch here, then I'll have 4 perfectly square sides. So first I want to adjust the height of the blade so it'll be just over the width of the board. And then to be able to get the exact width here, which is about 3/4, but it's not exact, I will have to move the fence, place the board between the fence and the blade, move the fence over, and then lock it down. And now we'll have the same width on all 4 sides. Now that I have the baseboard completed and the horizontal and vertical 3/4 inch square boards cut, I can now attach them to the base. What I'll use to use as my fasteners are brad nails, and I'll use 18 gauge brad nails at a 1 3/4 inch length. Should provide plenty of strength to be able to attach these boards to the base. Another thing I wanted to consider was how much pressure to use on my nailer. And since this is pine, I was hoping I could just use the lowest setting so I can give it the smallest hole. And you can see here that with the highest setting does give me a pretty good size hole there. And the lowest setting provides a little bit smaller hole. So I'm gonna go with the lowest setting on the nailer. A couple things to consider when placing your horizontal and vertical boards on your base is that you can either, the initial boards, you can start out either horizontally or vertically. And with this being the front, being the long end, this being the front and the back, and these are the sides, I decided to go with the vertical, putting the vertical boards on first. And you'll see why in a few minutes. And remember me telling you about the lip that's on the top of the baseboard, is that that'll come into play is that you can just put your combination square right on here like this, and you can get the exact measurement of the board you need to cut. And then you can just come over to your horizontal, to your 3/4 inch board and draw a line on there, and then we can go over to the miter saw and make the cut. I have both vertical pieces cut now to length, and I've attached this first vertical piece here and clamped it with a clamp, because I don't want this to be sliding around. And then when it's on the clamp here, you can maneuver it around and get the exact orientation that you want. And with this lip on here, it's pretty easy to be able to get exactly where you want it. So now I just need to fasten these verticals with the brad nailer. And so I want to stay as close to the edge over here on both ends because remember we're going to be building a staircase up here, and so each piece is going to be about 1/4 of an inch inside the board here. So I want to staple it as close to the end here as I can. And remember, when you're using a nailer with the wood grain going this direction, you also want to orient the your direction of your nailer going in the same direction. So this is the flat part right here. Then you can just come right up over here to the edge, and then hold it down, and then hit it right there, and then come back over here to this end right here, and do the same thing. Just like that. So now I'll go in and attach this side right here and measure the length right in here and attach those. Now I have the vertical and the horizontal boards that fasten to the baseboard. And now to the front, I put this piece of tape here on the front just so I can keep my orientation correct. Now I want to add a board here in the front and in the back to overlap 1/4 inch on the front and on the sides. So the length of this board right here is 6 3/4. So I'll need 6 3/4 plus 1/2 inch is 7 1/4. So I need to cut this board to 7 1/4 and come back and attach it to the front here. So it'll overlap 1/4 inch on the front and the back, and do the same thing to the back side. Cut the two 7 1/4 pieces of board, and now I want to inlay it. So overhang 1/4 inch. So I set my combo edge here and was able to make a line right there at 1/4 inch on both sides here. And I'll just come back and orient that right here and eyeball the ends to 1/4 inch like that. And then I'll fasten those with the nailer. Finished wood planter box. Some of the highlights I like to show you is I like the way the boards extend out from the base. It gives it sort of like a staircase effect to it. And over here on the side, you can see that when you alternate the long grain to the end grain, it gives sort of like a log cabin effect. And the wood I've used on this is the select pine. What I like about the select pine is that it has a really nice grain to it, and it comes without any knots in it, so you don't have to worry about cutting around the knots when you're making these. The dimensions on this is the base is 7 inches by 7 1/2, and the top turned out to be 9 inches by 10 inches. So the total board feet I used on this is a little over 1 board foot. The select pine I used board was it comes in a 3/4 of an inch thick, and I used a 3 1/2 by 4 inch board. And after cutting the wood to make this planter, I still had several boards left over. You can purchase this wood over at Lowe's or Home Depot, and the total cost on making one of these planters this size is about $5. And it took about 1 hour total to make it. So if you wanted to batch out 10 of these things, you could do this for make 10 of them for $40, $50, and do it in less than half a day. So you could batch out these to give as gifts or sell at flea markets or something like that. So it's just something to consider. I did fill in the holes with wood putty, and now I want to apply a oil-based finish to it. And what I've decided to use is the Australian timber oil, mahogany flame. And this will provide a nice, deep, rich red color to it. And plus, this is oil-based, so it'll provide sun and moisture protection to the wood, which is pretty important for a planter. So let me go ahead and apply the finish to this, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what the end product looks like. The Cabot's mahogany flame, that's such a beautiful, deep, rich color to this plant pot. And it is a very easy project to make. And if you have any family or friends that are plant lovers, think about making one of these and give to them. I think they would really appreciate it. And if you like this project, please give me a thumbs up. And if you review some of my other projects that I have, if you like them, please subscribe. And we'll see you on the next project. Thanks for joining me.